everyone, welcome back. If you like this kind of straight up talk on property, money, and what's really going on, follow the podcast wherever you're listening and subscribe to our newsletter too so you don't miss the next one. Ryan, this week I want to talk about something that feels pretty obvious once you see it, but I still think a lot of people are missing it. Everyone talks about the housing squeeze like it's one thing, usually rates or prices or rents, but right now it feels like the pressure is spreading everywhere at once.
Yeah, that's exactly it. A lot of people still talk about housing like there's one big problem and one big cause, but that's not really what's happening now. It's not just rates, it's not just rent, it's not just first home buyers struggling. The pressure is moving through the whole system, through buffers, through repayments, through suburb stress, through tax settings, through investor behavior, and even through the type of homes people keep trying to buy. So from the outside, people see housing pressure, but underneath, it's actually a bunch of different cracks opening up at the same time.
Let's start with first home buyers because that one hits pretty hard. A lot of people think if you can just get in, that's the big win. But that's not really the full story, is it?
No, not even close. Getting in is one thing. Staying comfortable after you get in is something else. A lot of newer buyers got through with smaller deposits, tighter buffers, and not much room for error. That looked manageable when people were focused on just crossing the line and buying the place. But then real life kicks in: mortgage, repayment, bills, food, insurance, everything else. And suddenly that whole "I made it" feeling turns into "hang on, this is tighter than I thought."
So for some people, the hard bit isn't buying the house, it's surviving the first year.
Exactly. That's the bit people don't talk about enough. The deposit hurdle gets all the attention, but a thin buffer after settlement can be way more dangerous.
And then you've got borrowers more broadly, not just first home buyers, because people were hanging on to this idea that relief was coming, lower rates, easier repayments, a bit of breathing room, but that feels less clear now.
Yeah, because people got emotionally attached to that story. They wanted the pain to be almost over. But the Reserve Bank is still looking at inflation and basically saying, we're not done worrying yet. And that matters because borrowers are running out of easy moves. A while back, you could refinance, then maybe switch lenders, then maybe cut some spending, then maybe ride it out. But after a while, those easier fixes start disappearing. So it becomes less about what clever move can I make, and more about how much room have I actually got left. That's exactly it. And for a lot of households, the room left isn't huge.
One part I found really interesting was the suburbs stress angle, because from a distance, people still talk about the housing market like it's one big national thing.
Yeah, but once you zoom in, it looks very different. Some suburbs are carrying way more pain than others. And the reason is pretty simple. Household pressure is not just about house prices, it's about what people in that area earn, what they owe, what their bills look like, and how much slack they've got left at the end of the month. That's why suburb level stress matters so much, because the national story can sound okay ish while some suburbs are already cooked.
And that's where the real housing squeeze shows up, right? Not in a headline, but in the week to week cash flow of people living there.
Exactly. That's where it gets real. Mortgage, petrol, groceries, power, school costs, insurance, all hitting the same household at once. That's the squeeze.
Let's get into the tax and policy side because that's another area where people oversimplify everything. And there's this idea that if landlords get hit harder, renters must win, but it's not that clean.
No, not at all. That's one of those things that sounds good in a speech but gets messy in real life. If you make owning investment property less attractive, some landlords pay more, sure. But then what? Some investors don't buy, some sell, some hold longer, some pass on costs if they can. And the rental market doesn't magically become better just because the politics sounded fairer.
So a policy can sound pro renter without actually making renting easier.
Exactly. And the same goes for a lot of these equity pushes aimed at younger Australians. Good intention doesn't guarantee a good outcome. Sometimes the change just reshuffles pain, it doesn't remove it.
Then there's Cairns, which I think some people still mentally put in the nice place but not serious market bucket.
Yeah, and that's getting harder to do now. Because once you start seeing new apartment stock coming through at price points that look a lot lower than bigger city markets, people start paying attention. Now, that doesn't mean every regional apartment play is amazing. Not saying that. But it does mean people can't just dismiss regional markets like they used to, especially when affordability in the major cities stays rough and investors start looking around for something that still feels like value.
So it's less regional is hot and more regional is no longer easy to laugh off.
That's exactly the vibe.
One of the more underrated points this week was about bigger homes. Because people talk about affordability like it's only about prices or rates, but there's also the question of what we're trying to buy in the first place.
Yeah, and this one is uncomfortable because it points back at us a bit. Australians say they want affordable housing, but we also keep chasing big homes, more space, more rooms, more everything. And bigger homes cost more. They cost more to build, more to heat and cool, more to finance. So, part of the affordability problem is not just the market doing something to us, it's also the kind of product we keep telling the market we want.
That's actually a big point because it means some of the housing problem is structural, not just cyclical.
Exactly. It's built into the system.
All right, so if you had to sum this whole thing up, what's the main point?
The housing squeeze is no longer sitting in one obvious place. It's not just the person trying to buy, it's the person who already bought with no room left. It's the borrower waiting for rates to ease. It's the renter hoping policy will help. It's the suburb where household budgets are stretched to breaking point. It's the investor trying to work out if the numbers still stack up. It's the whole system getting tighter in different ways at the same time.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's spreading.
Exactly, that's the word. And once pressure starts spreading like that, you can't just watch one number and think you understand the market.
All right, that's it for this one. If you want more property and money talk like this, follow the podcast wherever you're listening, share it with someone who'd get something out of it, and subscribe to our newsletter too so you don't miss the next one. And if you want to read more, head to Australian Property Review.